This tutorial will give step-by-step instructions on how to import BVH animations. There are many free files available on the internet, and all you have to do is type free BVH files in the Google search engine or a search engine of your choice. However, for this tutorial we will use the backflip.bvh file. You should have already downloaded the Files folder BVH tutorial files. Within this folder there are 4 files for your use. Aiko_T_poses.amr, back_flip.bvh, a zip file that contains a small app that will play BVH animations. It is free and has license texts that come with the app. And an RTF file that shows the XYZ coordinates of a T-pose with legs close together. In order to import a BVH file correctly, you will need to start the import in the exact same character position or pose that the imported file starts. Most BVH files starts with a T-pose, but not all. Also, many of the FPSC characters do not start in the T position. Some T poses will have the legs together, and others will have them spread slightly. You'll not know which pose you will need until you begin the import. However, that is no problem. If you need to create a new frame that contains the T pose needed, you can do so at this time. Just make sure that it is frame 0 where you modify the character's position. I'll use the Aiko AMR file to load into Animer. The Aiko AMR file has 4 poses that most likely will be used as a start position of most any BVH animation file. Importing a BVH file is quite easy. The first step is to open up your character file. I will open up Aiko T Poses AMR. Now what I would like to do is enlarge the image a little bit. Might be a little too large. I would also like to hide the left and right viewports. Probably want to put some texture on Aiko so that we can see what's going on. The next step is in the main menu option, click on File, and then we will click on Import Animations from BVH File. We will then select Backflip BVH. The first thing that it does is process the file so that it can determine the BVH structure, which is right here in this list file. The character structure is in the very far right list box. And then in the middle you see the corresponding limbs of the BVH limbs and the character limbs. You will see that some of the limbs do not have a corresponding or associated limb. And for the most part, this is okay. You can have more limbs in the BVH file than you have in the character structure. You will notice that you can import frames of your choice or the animations of your choice. You will see that there are 132 frames. The offset scale factor I will get to in a little bit. At this point, all we have to do is click OK. You now see a window in the lower left corner with a picture of the imported model. We now either select a frame in which Aiko is set in the same pose as the model on the picture, or we would have to redo the limbs in order to create this same pose, and we would do this in frame 0. However, we have 4 different poses in this for this character. We can select the individual frames by using the up-down buttons on the text box. Going up, we have frame number 1, frame number 2, frame number 3, and frame number 4. It looks like we need frame number 2. Once we have the selected pose, then all we need to do is click OK. Animer will now import and append all of the new frames to the end of the frames that already exist. And you will notice that now the selected frame is 5. There were 4 frames that existed in the original character. You will also notice that if we play the animation at this point, it will play from 5 to 136. Remember, there were 4 frames in the original and there were 132 frames for the animation. And of course that then makes 136. I would like to view or show the floor, and I want to raise Aiko up a little bit. And maybe okay. Now we see the bottom of the floor. Now watch as we play our new animation. You will notice that the animations that were created will actually go below the floor. In order to prevent this from happening, we need to actually scale the animation. In order to do this, in order to redo the scale factor, we actually need to start all over again. So I will once again load Aiko. Let's put some texture on her. Maybe it's a little bit larger. Okay, now we will import the BVH file. And we will go down to the offset scale factor. I happen to know that 0.2 will probably be good enough, and I have found so far that most of the time I have to reset the offset by about 0.2 for most of the imports that I have done. But that's going to have to be somewhat of a trial and error method. So we'll do this, and then we'll get the correct pose. And now we can play the animation, and you will notice that doesn't quite go through the floor, maybe a little bit, but I don't believe that will probably affect the character animation within FPSC. Let's take a look at her as she does her backflip. So that's all there is to importing a BVH file. There's sometimes maybe some tweaking that you'll need to do. In another tutorial, I will show you how to make the character then FPSC ready.